All right, so let's jump into this article about Demi Moore winning a Golden Globe for The Substance.
Okay.
Now, you might be thinking, Demi Moore,
Right.
she's been a star forever. Why is this award such a big deal? And that's kind of what I was thinking.
Yeah.
This article really highlights her reaction, like pure surprise, almost relief. And it clearly meant a lot to her. And it got me thinking about like the bigger picture here, you know?
Yeah, what's interesting is that her win kind of throws a wrench into how Hollywood has always kind of categorized movies and actors.
Okay.
There's this division between popcorn movies, you know, those big fun blockbusters,
Right.
versus films that are more critically acclaimed.
Okay, so you've got like this popcorn versus prestige thing.
What is that?
And the article points out that a lot of Moore's biggest hits movies like Ghost, A Few Good Men, Indecent Proposal,
Right.
those were box office giants,
Huge.
but maybe not always seen as award-worthy by the industry.
And I think that quote from early in her career where someone called her a popcorn actress really underscores that.
Really?
There's often a dismissive attitude towards those types of films, even if they're hugely popular with audiences.
So does this Golden Globe win for The Substance change things? Is this a sign that Hollywood is starting to see Demi Moore and these popcorn movies differently?
It's certainly possible.
Okay.
It's especially interesting because this win is happening right as awards season is kicking off with the Oscars coming up.
Right.
The article even brought up Jennifer Lopez's situation a few years back with Hustlers.
Uh-huh.
She was nominated for a Golden Globe,
Right.
but didn't get an Oscar nod.
Oh, wow. So it's almost like we're watching a real-life Hollywood drama unfold.
Yeah.
Will Moore follow a similar trajectory, or is this a sign that the tide is turning? But before we get caught up in predictions, I want to dig a little deeper into something you mentioned
Okay.
about this shift in how Hollywood views certain types of movies.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
One thing the article mentioned is that the Golden Globes themselves have actually changed.
Oh, really?
They introduced a new category specifically for box office hits, which seems like an acknowledgement of their importance to the industry.
Okay, so the Golden Globes are recognizing box office success with this new category.
Yeah.
And Wicked won this year, which is interesting because a lot of the other top awards went to lesser-known films like The Brutalist.
Right.
Isn't that kind of a mixed message?
It definitely raises some questions.
Yeah.
Is Hollywood starting to value these different types of films equally?
Right.
Or is this new category more of a symbolic gesture?
And what does that mean for someone like Demi Moore, whose career has spanned both blockbuster hits and now this critically acclaimed role in The Substance?
That's where it gets really fascinating.
Yeah.
The article also touches on how The Substance tackles ageism in Hollywood,
Okay.
especially towards women, something that's been a part of the industry for far too long.
Right. So Moore's win has these like extra layers of meaning because of the film's themes.
Exactly.
It's not just about her performance. It's about the larger conversation it's sparking.
Exactly. Think about Moore's career trajectory.
Okay.
She's been incredibly successful.
Yeah.
But as she's gotten older, the quality and quantity of roles she's been offered has declined.
Right.
And this is a pattern we see with so many actresses in Hollywood.
It's like there's this unspoken expiration date for women in the industry.
And fortunately, that's often the case. And that's why Moore's win for The Substance feels even more significant.
Okay.
It's a film that confronts this issue directly, and her win could be seen as a challenge to these norms.
Okay, so we've got this Hollywood system that's historically been biased against certain types of films and certain types of actresses.
Right.
And now we have Demi Moore winning a Golden Globe for a film that challenges those biases.
Yeah.
But is it a turning point?
Well, to understand that, we need to look at some historical parallels. Think about actors like Robert Downey Jr. or Matthew McConaughey.
Okay.
They spent years doing mostly action and comedy roles for taking on more dramatic parts that earn them critical acclaim and awards. It makes you wonder, is this like a similar moment for her? Is this like the start of a new chapter where she's offered more complex roles?
Yeah, it's funny you bring them up. I remember thinking McConaughey was like the rom-com guy forever. And then, bam, Dallas Buyers Club. Totally changed things for him.
Exactly. And those shifts don't just happen randomly. They involve deliberate choices by the actors to kind of take on different types of projects and showcase their range.
Right.
And it seems like Moore might be doing something similar with The Substance.
But it can't be easy to like break out of those Hollywood molds, you know?
Oh, absolutely.
It's like they put you in a box and it's so hard to convince them that you can do anything else.
Totally. And that's where the industry's reaction to these kind of career shifts is so important.
Right.
Did the critics embrace McConaughey's transformation?
Yeah.
Did audiences buy into Downey Jr.'s dramatic turn? Those things play a huge role in whether an actor can successfully reinvent themselves.
So Moore's success with The Substance is just like one piece of the puzzle.
Yeah.
The real test is whether Hollywood and audiences are willing to see her in a new light moving forward.
Right. And that brings us back to the potential ripple effect we were talking about.
Yeah.
If Moore's win signals a shift in how Hollywood views actresses and popcorn movies,
right,
could we start seeing more of those types of films getting awards recognition? Could we see a wider range of actresses getting the roles they deserve, regardless of age?
It's like you're suggesting this one win could have a domino effect, leading to more opportunities for everyone. What would that look like? Like, give me an example.
Imagine like a big budget action film.
Okay.
Something that would normally be a pure popcorn flick.
Right.
But was like a really complex female character at its core.
Okay.
Not just there to be rescued or provide romantic interest.
Right.
But who drives the plot and grapples with real issues.
I'm already picturing it, like a female John Wick or Mad Max.
Right. And on the acting side, we could see a move away from this obsession with youth.
Yeah.
Instead of constantly trying to cast younger actresses,
right,
studios might start valuing experience and talent over age.
So instead of always going for like the ingenue, we might see more roles for women in their 40s, 50s, 60s, and beyond.
Exactly. We could see a whole new generation of actresses getting the chance to shine in roles that are both complex and challenging, and that would be a real game changer for the industry.
That's a future I would love to see. But let's be real. Change doesn't happen overnight.
True. But sometimes a single event, a spark, can set things in motion.
Yeah.
And perhaps this Golden Globe win for Demi Moore is that spark.
Okay.
It's ignited a conversation, and that's always a good first step.
Okay, so we've talked about the historical context, the potential implications of Moore's win, and even peeked into what the future might hold. But before we wrap up, I want to circle back to something you said earlier about the ripple effect.
Of course. What's specific?
Well, you said that Moore's win could potentially lead to more recognition for popcorn movies and more opportunities for actresses of all ages. But what would that actually look like in practice?
That's a great question. Let's say hypothetically that Moore's win does inspire studios to take more chances on films that might not fit the traditional Oscar mold.
You mean movies that are entertaining and thought-provoking?
Exactly. We'd start seeing more big-budget action films with strong female leads, or more comedies that tackle serious social issues without sacrificing the laughs.
More action heroines and comedies with depth. Sign me up for that.
And on the acting side, this shift could mean that instead of always going for the ingenue, we see more roles for women in their 40s, 50s, 60s, and beyond. Imagine the possibilities.
Now that's a future I can get behind. But Hollywood is notoriously resistant to change. Do you really think this one win can make a real difference?
It's true. Hollywood can be slow to evolve. But I think this is about more than just one award. It's about a confluence of factors. The changing demographics of audiences, the rise of streaming services, and a growing awareness of the need for greater diversity and representation, both in front of and behind the camera.
So it's like all these different forces are pushing Hollywood towards a tipping point.
Exactly. And Demi Moore's win, along with the success of films like The Substance, could be a sign that we're finally reaching that point.
It's a hopeful thought for sure. And sometimes a little hope is all we need to keep moving forward.
I agree. But hope is not enough. We also need to be active participants in this change. We need to support the films and artists that we believe in, and we need to hold Hollywood accountable for creating a more inclusive and representative industry.
So this isn't just about Demi Moore or The Substance. It's about a larger movement towards a more equitable and diverse Hollywood.
Precisely. And that's a movement that we can all be a part of.
You know, this whole conversation has really got me thinking about something the article mentioned. How Moore's success in those big popcorn movies might have actually worked against her in the eyes of some in Hollywood.
That's a really interesting point. It's almost like being too popular can be a detriment in the eyes of some critics.
It's as if there's this unspoken rule that if a movie is super successful with audiences, it can't possibly be high art.
Right. And that kind of thinking can definitely impact how actors are perceived. If you're known for blockbusters, some people might automatically assume you're not a serious actor.
Which is so unfair. There are plenty of actors who can do both entertain and deliver powerful, nuanced performances.
Absolutely. And I think that's part of what makes Moore's win so significant. It challenges that narrow way of thinking. It suggests that an actor can be both a box office draw and a critically acclaimed performer.
So it's almost like she had to prove herself all over again with this substance, despite her decades of success in Hollywood.
In a way, yes.
Yeah.
It's as though she's had to overcome this preconceived notion of what kind of actress she is.
Which makes her reaction to winning all the more understandable. It wasn't just about the award itself, it was about what it represented.
Exactly. It was about challenging those outdated norms and proving that she's more than just a popcorn actress.
And it's not just about her career, it's about opening doors for other actors who might be facing similar challenges.
Right. This win could have a ripple effect throughout the industry, encouraging studios to take more risks and to consider a wider range of talent.
It's a powerful statement for sure.
And hopefully a sign of things to come.
But if we kind of zoom out, what does all this tell us about where Hollywood is at today?
Right.
Is it really changing, or are we just seeing a few things here and there that make it seem that way?
That's the question, isn't it? It's tempting to see Moore's win as like a sign of progress.
Right.
But it's important to remember that one award doesn't change the whole system.
So how do we know if this is like real change or just a blip on the radar? What should we be looking for in the coming months and years?
I think it's about looking beyond just awards. It's about the kinds of films that are being made.
Right.
And the roles that are being offered.
So more than who's winning trophies, it's about who's getting a seat at the table.
Exactly. Are we seeing more diverse stories being told? Are actors and actresses given the opportunity to play complex and interesting characters throughout their careers? Those are the real signs.
And if we're not seeing those things, then it's a sign that maybe Hollywood still has a long way to go.
I think that's fair. It's great to celebrate these moments of progress, but it's also important to stay focused and keep pushing for more.
Okay, so we've explored the history, the potential implications of Moore's win, and even looked at what the future might hold. But before we go, I want to leave you with one final thought.
Okay.
We've talked a lot about how Hollywood categorizes films and actors.
Right.
But what about us, the audience? Do we play a role in this?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
And honestly, I think we do. We often internalize the messages that Hollywood sends us. We buy into the idea that some types of films are better than others, and we might dismiss some actors based on their past work.
So maybe it's not just about changing Hollywood, but changing our own views too.
Absolutely. It's about being more open-minded, more willing to challenge our own biases, and more supportive of films and artists that might not fit neatly into any one category.
So what does this all mean for you? Well, it means you have a role to play in shaping the future of Hollywood. Be curious, be critical, and be open to new experiences. Support the films and artists that you believe in, and don't be afraid to challenge the status quo, because in the end, the power to change Hollywood lies with all of us.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.